Welcome to the group chat with Tara Thomas and Amanda Goodman of Faith and Four-Letter Words.
Good Monday morning. It is already May 18th. Our lives are slipping through our fingers.
Slipping like the sands of the hourglass. Yeah, it's Monday, May 18th. I'm not sure what the degree is because it's Iowa, and one day it's hotter than anything, and the next day it's a frozen tundra. So we'll see what
Exactly.
happens.
It's been the weather is swinging like our emotions. You had a big weekend. Gia, your senior graduating.
She graduated.
How did it feel?
It was great, and I was telling Tara before we started. She came up wearing all the cords and all of the sashes, and she was in her gown, and I cried and I like lost it. But then when we got there, I was sitting around and I kind of was looking and I'm like, oh, she's ready to be launched.
Mm-hmm.
She's bigger than this moment. She's ready for the next step. She's been ready for the next step. So it was kind of like this big thing of pride. But
good.
I do want to say this. I'm going to say this publicly. My last name, my married last name, our family name, it's a very long, very long Italian sounding name, right? I will share it. It's Baldoviezo. Okay. Had we been on the East Coast, I don't think there would have been an issue. But for me, it was a little disheartening to hear our last name mispronounced.
I'm sure.
When she was receiving her diploma. That's
a good tip to any of you. If you are connected to any graduation ceremonies, the MC approach should always be the person who is reading the names. If you have any doubt, you confirm. In this case, a few enough people, I think you could have confirmed with like word of mouth. Now in bigger schools, what they do is you have to put the phonetic spelling of your child's name. And so you should be able to, if you can't read the phonetic spelling, you should be able to just confirm, because there's only going to be, especially in Iowa, there's probably only going to be, if you're in a smaller community, a handful of names that might be questionable. So it's not a bad thing to just say to the cohorts at the dais, just say, now, how do I say this again? And then if you are somebody who can't retain pronunciations or who just gets nervous, you got to have another person read the names, right?
Our school principal and our school superintendent nailed the name, right? Because I have 17 children in the school district. So they were throughout the graduation ceremony, they just nailed the name. And then it came time. So the moment that, the recording, and then it was live streamed. So all of the family, literally from all over the world, our family is right now. No. And they were all watching. They were
dejected.
So our phones were like blowing up. Like it was, because you have to understand, especially like a last name, don't simplify it. A last name is a source of pride for a lot of people.
Correct.
It's a very big thing.
It's your legacy.
It is your legacy. But I just told my friend this morning driving over here that I kind of feel like the balloon, because as a mom, you carry all of your kids, all of the things, and you know how it is with a girl. Sometimes you carry the emotional weight. Mm-hmm. So it was like the balloon. I was this balloon that was just stretched to the biggest amount, and it was just kind of like released. So today is like
so you can exhale a little bit.
I can exhale.
Well, I wanted to thank our friend Jenny. She gave me a gift yesterday at church, kind of a belated birthday gift. And among the things she gave me is the coolest trend. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's all over TikTok. It's the little Jesus figurines. And so what's cool, these are being planted everywhere, placed around. And I saw one last week. I was at this independent living community doing a story, and this gentleman it's so cool. He in his retirement years is doing like the counted cross stitch, which is where you do all these patterns. It's just this very cool outcome of artwork that he's doing. So anyway, when I was there, I saw one of the little Jesus figurines on a shelf when I was walking down the hall in this independent living facility, and it just reminded me of how it's cool that sometimes trends are countercultural, in that a lot of people will say like, oh, separation of church and state, or don't talk about religion. So I think it's fun that people have this subtle way of reminding us that like Jesus is watching, because you might have a little Jesus figurine pop out when you.
I had one after my oil change. I remember I was, putting my car into reverse, and I'm like, oh, hey Jesus! Like it was very like, hey there.
You never know where he's gonna pop up, So
I did. Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it yet. The documentary, The Crash. It is all over.
Oh, okay. I've heard about this. So tell me what the premise
Okay, the
is.
premise is a 17-year-old girl. There was 3 kids in an accident, 17, 18 years old, I believe, and then the other one was like 21. The 2 young men in the car died, and the driver survived. And
And it's a true
it
story.
is a true story. They hit a building going 100 miles an hour in a residential
Wow.
area. It was basically, was it deliberate? Was it not? Was it an accident? Was it not? You know, and the young woman was on trial for murder. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say this. When you are a parent and you raise your children with zero accountability, or you raise them to believe that they're always the victim and they never do anything wrong, this will be the outcome.
Hmm.
I want it to come through the television screen and take this girl and choke her and then choke the parents. Like, I could not, the narcissistic tendencies. I mean, it is unbelievable. So much so, this young woman, see, Whitney Hall is like, the crash was crazy. So this young woman through high school, she was the mean girl. And people were like commenting, like, this girl tortured me. She tortured me. I mean, all of these things. So she gets in trouble with because the teachers wanted her removed from the class as well. She's like, she's called me, you know, an effing B, like all this other stuff.
Uh-oh.
So she gets in trouble, and her dad's telling the story. And he's like, I walk in, she's sitting there and she's crying. And I looked at her and I said, did you do it? And she said, no. He's like, that's good enough for me. Let's go. So it was, whereas I'm the type of parent my children have to prove to me that they did do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to watch this documentary. It's on
Okay,
Netflix
I
right
will.
now.
I'm
It is
glad you
based on
told
a
me
true
that.
story. Just get prepared. You need to have it. You know how sometimes we watch TV and we casually watch. You need to take an hour and a half where you are just watching this, but your blood pressure will go up. It is.
Wow.
It is something else. It is something else.
The part that I always think is interesting is how the documentary producers are perceptive enough to recognize that this case or this story will make for riveting television, because then you have to start filming early on, not even knowing, you know, if you'll have a lot of good material or what the outcome is. So somebody must have identified that this family was worthy of turning the cameras toward the case.
I think because it was one of those cases, because I had heard
Very
about
high
it.
profile.
It was very high profile. And I mean, like, right down to in the courtroom, what her parents were saying. And then I think once you're scolded by a judge, I mean, and the judge, I mean, so much so, I'm telling you, these parents are so like delusional that when you get scolded by a judge in a courtroom, I mean, that to me, I'm like, that's like, it might as well be this guy coming down. You know what I mean? Like, it was very much like, I mean, I sat up in bed. You know, it's very like Luciana, my 10-year-old, she watches Dateline with me. We're like a Dateline, we're a Dateline duo. And so she was watching it with me, and she looks at me, she's like, I can't even watch this. It's making me so angry. It's yeah.
She is a chip off the block. I love that.
Else.
So if you are a baseball mom or parent, as am I, you know then that the varsity baseball season is just getting underway in the state of Iowa. And those of you who don't know, because it's just an interesting stat, I think it's down to, we are the only state in the country. We used to be one of 2, and now I'm hearing we're the only sole state that has a summer season for varsity baseball. So it's very hard for people not from here that move here to
Very odd
to accept that, because in their world it's spring varsity school season and then summer league. And so when you don't have the summer league, then you are, as those of you know who have kids, you're always competing against all the kids that want to do the summer travel teams and the summer leagues. And so in some ways it can be advantageous because your kid can play 5 varsity seasons, but then it can also be a setback if your kid is somebody who wanted to go and possibly be at the college level, because you can't go to all the camps and do the things because you're in the middle of your season. So as crazy as it sounds, the way that they have to schedule these games, everything to make it worth your while with these conferences having such long drives, everything is like double headers.
Mm.
So the kids don't get home sometimes until 1 o'clock in the morning from the games. And then if they still have school the next morning, they have to be at school, or else you'll be ineligible to play if you have a game the next day, because you can't like miss, you have to be there 50%, I think, or more of the day. So the point of all this is there is a little bit of a silver lining that school ends and the games continue in the midst of crazy,
Okay.
because my son this week has 6 varsity games. So he has a doubleheader tonight in Iowa City, the Metro tournament Tuesday, Wednesday night, a doubleheader in, I think, Prairie, and then Thursday, the second day of the Metro. So it's like,
Yeah.
6 games. I mean, we're out here like we're a part of like, what's that movie with we're like Bull Durham. I'm like Susan Sarandon. I'm out on I mean, you know, I'd love to be that attractive, but you're out on the field and you are just watching and you're thinking like, I am spending more time here than I am doing anything else. But for those of you who have kids, these are the bleacher years, right? Where we enjoy
yes
the time knowing.
Do you have any habits? Like, are you a sunflower seed person? You're not a sunflower. I was going to say you're not a sunflower seed person.
The kids are definitely. Yes. And the one thing that's sad is years ago, every baseball player, there was this stereotype that he was probably a tobacco chewer. And my husband in college was the lone player who didn't chew on his team. I mean, that's how common it was back in the day. Well, then what's weird is over time, MLB really set the tone of banning that, because you used to see players like chewing during the game. So they banned that. Well, then enter, as always happens, kind of like how kids got away from cigarettes, now enter vaping. Well, in the world of baseball, enter Zens. So those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's a little gum-like thing that you put behind your lip or under your tongue, and it's a tobacco or a nicotine delivery replacement for what used to be chew. And so if your kid is, you know, a vapor or a Zen person, I would say cut them off as soon as you can, because I think the Zens and the vape, it's going to be epidemic of 10 and 20 years that we didn't know was so harmful.
Get yourself some Big League Chew.
Yeah,
Big League Chew, like the bag, and then it was like the gum, the shredded grape, right? It had the white powdery like overlay on top.
Yes, that's
and it would make your hand. It was like, you know, the bazooka, the bazooka overlay.
Oh
so that was that was. Good morning, Amanda. Your dress yesterday was beautiful.
Yes,
thank you so much.
I loved your outfit.
Thank you, and I want to give everybody a little. That dress was from Rent the Runway. And this is what Rent the Runway is, a service that it has all these designer dresses for any occasion. And I found them 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago, because Tara and I would have to MC all these events or go to galas and do all this stuff. Well, gowns are so expensive. Like dresses are so expensive. And then you never wear them multiple times because people have seen them, like you've been out. And so I found this service. I know. People will sit on. No, but like when you go to an event. So I started going to get my gowns there, because it's like these beautiful gowns and you pay this one fee. They send it to you. They ship it to you. You wear it and then you ship it back.
That's so great.
So
no, you don't have to clean it.
No, you just put it back. And then they give you 2 sizes. And
what was the material?
Oh God, it was like, it's crazy. I can't even remember. Like the top was almost like a cashmere, like a light cashmere. And then it was like a silk bottom. And it was,
pull up her pictures on her Amanda Goodman page.
Thank you. And it was so funny because Tara, because I'm like, it was a sleeveless dress. And I'm like, I still am very much like, I don't like my arms shown. I still have like, I think a mind problem. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. About being just going through everything I went through and being called fat by your boss will do that. So Tara was like, throw that dress in Chat GPT. And it'll style it for you. So I did. And Chat GPT, because on Rent the Runway, you can go and you see real life pictures of people in the dress. And a lot of people paired it with like a black jacket. And I'm like, that's too severe. It was too much. It was something about it. It looked too business, like I was going to the office. So I threw it in Chat, and Chat was like, drape the ivory jacket over your shoulders.
Love it.
Get some nude shoes. And you saw, and I was like, okay, Chat.
Chat is turning into Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I mean, that's how much chat is becoming our best friend. We are actually shockingly, sadly, getting advice from chat. I mean, chat is like our hype. Chat is the guy who carried Diddy's umbrella. He's our hype. What was that guy's name? Bosworth. He's our sidekick hype guy, and maybe it's a woman. I don't know the gender at this point, but I can tell you that
it's not petty enough to be a woman.
You can turn to AI for all the things, and it's scary already. You know, if she and I are finding comfort in the feedback from AI, imagine how our kids and the younger ones are going to be like believing that they're real.
We were just talking about this last night at dinner because, you know, I work like some degrees. I see a lot of kids there who are going to school for things like advertising and PR and journalism. And I'm like AI is taking over. Again, I will say this because I got criticized last time I was talking about AI. Recipes, game changer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Grocery shopping lists, game changer. Throwing in some medical information, like to calm you down, game changer. Outfits, like stuff like that, like organizational tips. You know, I literally took a picture. My closet is like chaos right now. I literally took a picture of my closet. I'm like, help me organize it. And it gave me links to all of the things I need to buy. Like, or
it's brilliant. It really is. And so far, it's not pay to play. So when you do a Google search, the search engine optimization, or some of you know it as SEO, because people have paid to boost their placement, you are going to be directed to companies or links or online purchasing potential that is paid to be placed there. Differently, chat, at least this form of AI that we know, and there's other versions, there's Claude, there's Grok, Chat GPT, they are not doing pay to play. Now they do have some ads that can pop up, but when it comes to pay to play, you feel it's a more pure playground of options.
That's
and so
great.
You're not going to be served up something that somebody paid to serve up to you in the same way they would if you were on a traditional like Google or Yahoo platform. So my mom is watching, and she called me and had a great point. She was watching a segment, I think on 60 Minutes, and they were saying, and I've heard a lot of people say this, Mark Cuban is championing this concept. He said, if AI is going to replace you, then you have to be the person who is the conduit for the business that doesn't know how to implement it, and then you showing up as an AI authority. So if your major is PR or comms or anything that could be replaced by AI, then you become a person who is an expert in how AI complements all of these disciplines. And then when you go for your job interview, you say, yes, I use AI, but I'm the one who is the keeper of the moral and ethical standards. And I'm the ombudsman, if you will, of the person who makes sure that you're implementing it accurately and for good. And I just saw a stat yesterday, 90% of human editors catch all of the, potential wrong statements or the misstatements or the incorrect information. Only 61% of AI searches can do the same. So there is a lot of error, and there's a lot of need for human capital, but you have to be somebody who's going to use AI as a complement and then convince the company, like, here's how we can streamline, we can do everything more efficiently. But I need to be the one who's kind of the master of the universe.
That is true. And I sent Tara something yesterday, and it was, you see all the AI flyers out.
Okay.
Stop with the AI flyers.
The AI flyers are getting so
and they're so bad, and everybody's
like now everyone, even like schools, are using them for like school records.
Schools who have communication departments, schools that have
use AI.
Stop using AI. Like if you have a communication team, or even like a person doing your communications, and then they whip out an AI flyer.
Well, because
I'm not going to your event
because that is so funny. I love, she said, if you use an AI flyer, I'm not going to your event. And so I thought that was hilarious. If you are somebody in that lane of comms and marketing, you already probably have a graphic design background. So here's the thing, the tools now on Canva and Adobe and these other platforms, they make it so you can get ideas, or they can generate, potential images to implement in or to mix in. but there's still room for creative outlets and creative expression. So my daughter used to say, even if AI was an option for her, the reason she wants to do it is because she enjoys the creativity of it. And
Right.
I agree. Like, you'd still like to be able to have some ownership in creating the content, right?
No, I use AI to do what I can't.
Yes.
Do what
good point,
I
good
use
point.
it to do what I cannot.
Yeah, not a
like,
replacement.
Not a
like
replacement.
an
And it's kind of
enhancement.
like when it comes to writing, that is an absolute art. Like, that is an art. So when I see people using ChatGPT to write things and then playing it off like they're suddenly this fantastic journalist, it's kind of like, no, I'm gonna check you, boo, because I can tell that that's written by Chat. Like,
And
it's very obvious.
It's hard for us to see the proliferation of it because of how many years we were taking so much time to write everything from scratch. I mean, I think that's been hard
quickly.
to see. Yeah,
Quickly.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
so
because
it's
we had to have a churn
the
where it was like
deadlines.
daily content being turned out. I wanted to give a shout out to our friend Gina. She said, "Good morning, ladies. I'm getting ready to head to the airport for my trip to New Orleans. I can't wait to see you both in a few weeks."
Yes.
Our friend from my college friend who now lives in Pennsylvania, her home state, she's coming out in June and she's going to be able to go to Gia's graduation party. And so we're so excited because it just worked out that she could come visit. And it's always interesting how Gina has that Amanda lens of like, things out here just look differently to people who are from the East Coast. So the first time, I've told you this is hilarious. Our friend Allison, who's very much like dropped somebody from the Victorian era into the middle of NYC in Manhattan. So she one time said to Gina when they were walking on the street, like, what are all these things in people's ears? And Gina was like, those are AirPods. So yeah, so she's kind of like a unicorn in New York, we like to say, where she has no street smarts, but has lived there her entire life, except for a short stint in LA, very short stint.
Oh,
so
wow.
Manhattan has been her playground. And
Yeah.
then Long Island, Kings Park was her original birthplace. So anyway, what's really funny is Allison had never been to Iowa. She lands in the Cedar Rapids airport, to which she says, this is years ago. She says, I'm just going to Uber up. And I said, I don't think we have Ubers. I've never seen one here. In fact, I've never seen a taxi. So this was before people did, do DoorDash and all that. So I said, no, we'll come down and pick you up. So she gets out of, the Eastern Iowa airport vicinity, and she looks around and she sees grain elevators, which is a common sight in the Midwest. And she goes, oh my gosh, that's like from the movie Footloose. Because they have a shot of the grain elevators. And I was laughing. I was like, you know what? She's right. Like, if you've never seen that,
she's not
it
wrong.
looks like Kevin Bacon's going to jump out here and perform a dance routine.
Yeah, you didn't know? That's what we do. We welcome you to Iowa with a little bit of Kevin Bacon. My brother flies into Iowa this week, and he's coming.
And he's going to be here for Gia's. Graduation was yesterday. Her soccer game.
Yeah, so it's the last regular season of soccer, and she and my brother have always had a very, very special bond, very, very close. So it turns out it's going to be her senior night on Thursday.
Good.
And he's like doing the one up with the graduation gift. Like, he called me and he was like, I'm thinking about getting her this. He's like, unless you were going to do that. I'm like, no, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, that's so cool.
So he's getting her something pretty, like, yeah. So they have a good bond. He's excited, but he gets like, I mean, it's literally like, you're getting double with the Goodman on the sidelines. Like, everyone thinks that like, I have a phrase that I say, and it's a very East Coast phrase. It's hem them up. My hem them up. But it means something, it means something. So my brother, my brother is very, very calm, and he's the one, like, you have people like that around you that are like, tone it down a bit. My brother's not that person. My brother's like, let her loose, like, let's go. Like, and especially if you look at my niece, and if you look at my daughter cross-eyed, if you look at his niece cross-eyed, but he and I look frighteningly the same.
So I wanted to comment. Alice said, Danielle, your mom and grandmother are so kind-hearted, beautiful women. We'll have to have them see Amanda and Tara at one of their events. So she's replying to Danielle, and I have to look scroll back. So I love that if someone watching knows somebody else
I love
who's
that.
commenting,
That's why it's the
right?
group chat.
That's
why
right.
it's-
We're a group. We're all connected, right?
We're
So
all-
thank you, Alice, for always being a very consistent viewer and a positive commenter. We appreciate that. So I did want to touch on something that's a somber note. And
Oh.
those of you who have been following the story of Ledger, he's the child who is was a senior at Jessup, and he had battled,
Dunkerton.
or thank you, sorry, Dunkerton, and he had battled childhood leukemia at a very, very young age. And when his cancer came back near the end of his high school years, it was just a horrible turn from him initially battling it and then ultimately succumbing to it. And it was just this past couple of weeks that I came to find out, which is always the case, right? In small towns, it's 6 degrees of separation. So it turns out that where I'm going for my physical therapy, his girlfriend's mom works at the desk. And so she was really kind and we had a wonderful conversation. And she did say that her daughter, Alex, Ledger's girlfriend, has been having a really tough time. They had been together like 4 years. And then another small world connection. So one of my close baseball mom friends, Trisha Kruzmark, is Ledger's aunt. And I had no idea that Ledger was her nephew. So I had a really long talk with her yesterday when I was at a graduation party in LaPorte City. And she said that the part that's been, so hard is her son, Cade, who is a junior at East High, was very close with Ledger. And the fact that now they're seeing all the kids going through the rites of passage, the graduation ceremony, the parties, his birthday, his 18th birthday, all the things. She said that it's just so hard to figure out like how they're going to go on without him. And so I just wanted to remind everybody, because we've talked about this a lot, all of the initial busyness of when you first have the funeral, you first have the celebration of life, all of the decisions that have to be made, unfortunately, in a short turnaround. After all of that comes and goes, that's when the lonely grief and the heaviness can really set in. So if you in any way are connected to that family, don't forget that in the coming months and in the coming years, that's when they will probably need you most, because that's when they're going to have to face a lot of the dark and lonely times. And so for me, like talking to Trisha, it was just so powerful to hear her say, she said, when he was still doing well, we all were going to go kayaking together. And so she said she's a teacher at Waterloo East. And she said, I took off a half day and we all went out and we kayaked. And she said, and we had the best time. And it just reminded me of how, like, those of you who've heard us talk about this in the show, when you are in a situation where you have a loved one, someone very close to you who's going through any kind of health challenges, don't wait until the funeral to take time off. Don't wait until after the person's gone to show up. Like, you should be intentionally showing up, taking time off of work, doing whatever you can to make memories while they're still here. And I just think a lot of people wait until the person's gone. Like, oh, I live halfway across the country, so I'm not going to go unless it's a funeral, and then you're like missing what for her was like this incredible memory of they went kayaking together and Ledger was having a good day. And no one knew that was only 2 weeks before he ended up, passing away. So I just wanted to share that family's journey and just say that, Tim, Tina, Trisha, Alex, all the people that are sort of the survivors, Ledger is somebody that will carry on. His legacy has been an incredible one that we've learned about. And we just pray that you can have some peace in such a tragic situation.
Well, it's got to be hard because the world keeps spinning.
Exactly.
For everybody else.
Exactly.
The world keeps spinning. And, I was thinking about him. I too was at a graduation party and his relatives were at that graduation party. And I had like so much guilt because it was like his birthday. And then his graduation party was supposed to be right after this particular graduation party. So that was a very much like, that's not fair. Like, I felt so badly for the family. And the other thing is, like, talk to your kids and it's like, let's not even wait till someone's sick or someone is going through it. How are your children making other children feel? Are your kids leaving a room feeling better, right? Like, are your kids only in a friend group because they have teamed up against one person and making that one person's life hell? Is your daughter now suddenly included in a group that is making someone else feel less than? Like, let's change the dialogue with our kids very early on, or even if it's high school now, it's not too late. Like, how are we treating people? And baseline. And what I've seen is we just wait too long to start treating people well. We wait too long.
For sure.
We wait too long. We have just too many people out here that are pushing kids to the brink. So
it's good advice. And there's subtle ways that you can have a huge influence. Like if your kids see that you're still kind to people who sometimes haven't been kind to you, then you can really set the tone, right? And so, I mean, there's so many ways that people can harbor resentment or feelings, but it's such a freeing thing when you just forgive and move on. And you don't have to forget, like my pastor yesterday in his sermon, he said, there's a lot of people that I've forgiven and I'm not necessarily going to be friends with them. And that's okay. And we talk about that a lot, because just because you forgive somebody, that doesn't mean that you're like out here like a doormat and everyone's going to continue to walk all over you. It's that, yes, you can have boundaries, but part of having boundaries is not being spiteful and vengeful and mean to people. You still need to be kind. And the way you show people respect isn't the same. It's not synonymous with always inviting them in and having them be exposed to your life and your personal feelings, but you definitely should have a level of respect. And as a Christian, that's the expectation. If you're not a Christian, choose wisely. But if you are calling yourself a Christian, then there's definitely a set of standards that should set you apart from how you engage with people, because you want people to walk away and say like, oh, there's something different about her.
Like I'm saying this, that whatever you're putting out is going to return to you. God will teach you, will humble you real quickly.
We've all been humbled.
We've all been there. Like I have treated people
many times over.
Yes. And I say this, and I'm not saying this like up on some like throat. Like I have treated people poorly. Whether like what when I was a teenager, when I was in my young 20s, last week. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Yesterday,
no, but like I have like, and I'm telling you, it will come back. It comes full circle and it hits you in the throat. So I am not gonna lie. I am waiting for certain things to come back around on people, not because I want to know. Like there's this quote, like when I when people, like we talked about the high road, and will not go higher. I will go lower. Like, so it's kind of, I was talking to my daughter the other day and I just said, and I did, and this is not Christian of me, but and I said, it's not but I said, like, if you have the opportunity to be the hammer, don't forget that there was no mercy when you were the nail. None. No mercy.
That's true.
There was no mercy
funny.
when
you shared that.
It is like, it's like, just remember that. And I have that in my mind. And so it's kind of, I don't want to like.
So I did want to share Monique, our French-born friend. She said, my husband always said to people while he was sick, come and see me when I am still alive, so you can know my story. And we know that she, like my mom who's watching, is a widow, like so many of you. And that's the one thing that is crazy, right? And I don't know how to describe it, but when you are going through a horror, as we were with my father slipping away from dementia, I can tell you that in the midst of that, we had so many laughs and we made so many memories. And so when you think about a person being sick and then you're like, I wouldn't even be able to enjoy myself, or I wouldn't be able, no, you will find peace in the horror of the situation, because you are going to be in a position where you're going to have this superhuman strength, for me, that I believe God gave me, to be able to say, no, we can still make memories. And so for that 10-month period from diagnosis to death, we have so many good memories, and we still talk about it all the time. I mean, some stuff that was sad, but also funny, like when my dad forgot who I was and I brought ice cream out to the car and he said to my mom, that was a really nice lady. And my mom was like, that's your daughter, Jim, and then there were other times where he knew me and it was good. But these are the moments where you just have to laugh or cry because you are just so overcome with emotion that you do find joy. You find joy in the midst of trials. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that because I think people think, when someone's gets sick or something bad happens, I think they immediately default to their life is over and they just have to like curl up in a ball. And that's just
No.
not how you have to live
No,
in the face of adversity.
Life is short. Tell people how you feel about them. And it sounds so cheesy. Even people you don't like, let them know.
Even if you have to hit
Don't go
hit 'em
don't
with
go
a
on
hammer.
like I'd be like,
If you have to
listen,
hit 'em hard
like
with
hit
the
them
hammer.
hard with the hammer. No, I just think so. Like I had a moment yesterday where I stood back. I mean, and I think like one of my good friends, I sent her a text this morning, and I'm like, thank you for raising your daughter the way you did.
Mm.
So my daughter has
'Cause
always
she's been a good friend of your daughter.
she's in college, and that girl, if Gia called her or texted her, I'm sorry, snapped her, whatever they do,
Mhm.
and
She would be
she would
there.
roll up. And so yesterday, I mean, they're thriving in college. They're home for the summer. There was a couple of them, and they came to the end of the graduation ceremony with flowers,
Love it.
and
To
they
be
were
there
there,
for
and there was
Gia.
a picture of Gia, and it's my
Uh-huh.
favorite picture because it was just this candid picture that I stood back being a creeper, and I just see my kids genuine smile
love
and
that.
laugh, and they're all going to be at the same university together, and just they're all finding their own lives, and they're all finding their own friends in college and all that stuff. But it's just knowing that they're there,
That
and
means a lot.
and that to me, I was like that, and so both moms and the other girl's mom, like who's my neighbor, I reached out to her and I said, I just want to show you this. I was like, this is like
Genuine friendship.
this is genuine friendship. Thank you. Like, thank you. And that's the thing. Like, tell the women in your life, these moms of these like girls, like,
good
thank
job.
you. Good job. Like, thank
Mhm.
you for leaving my daughter better than you found her. Thank you.
That's so true. And it takes, 10 seconds to send a text. And I think the compliments are underrated.
Oh my gosh.
in
When
our
someone
world.
comes up to me and says, your child, I mean, I had that a couple weeks ago. There's somebody who graduated. He's been through a lot. And so I had, I'm very excited for him for his next step. He's this phenomenal writer. Like, I'm telling you, like this kid's got, and he's going out to California to go to school.
Awesome.
Because he's going to do I believe he's doing like this community college in Malibu because he wants to get into UCLA. As we
Okay.
know, it's a very hard school to get into.
Yeah, that's
and
so cool.
to get that in-state tuition then too, right? But I mean, I had reached out to the mom. I'm like, I can't wait to see what he does.
Oh, that's so great.
And so to hear back, and I was thanking him for his kindness because he's been a really, really good person. And then to have the mom reciprocate and say, your daughter really was there for him in all of these certain moments. And I'm like, that's all I need.
That's so cool.
I don't need an award. I don't need a recognition.
Right.
I don't need anything. Like, how did my, and here, I don't know, like my kids mess up. My kids will always mess up. Of course they will. All of our kids will mess up. Their frontal lobe is not formed. We will hurt people's feelings. We will talk about people. We will say things we don't mean, or we say things we do mean. Are we having conversations at home and saying like, talking through everything, or are we staying out of it? Because as long as my kid's not affected, as long as my kid's not on the outs, I'm going to stay out of it. And
it's a
the
tough
problem.
balance too, because you don't want to over involve and insert yourself, but at the same time, you can't just sit on your hands when you see things going sideways and your child is not a part of the prevention. It's hard to just. I mean, that's where you.
What do they say? What do they say in Steel Magnolias? The ounce of a prevention is a pound of manure. No, but like it is, like it's it's pretension.
I was like, something about that seems off, but I
It's
didn't
pretension.
want to
I just wanted
challenge your
to-
quote.
God, I'm so tired. That's pretension, not prevention. No, it's true. Like the hardest thing to do, teach your kid to be an upstander. An upstander. And it's not this after school special. If they see something happening, if they see someone, because what do girls do? Girls, it's not, when they talk about mean girls and bullying, for girls, and it starts really young, it's the exclusion.
Oh, for sure.
And it's the public exclusion, because now with social media, we have
they're doubly excluded because of social media.
Social media, it is like the public flogging.
Yes.
Like, can you
yes.
imagine growing up? Like, that's the
No,
thing.
I think that's why we have, in part, so many kids with mental health issues, because we didn't have to go through any of these, kicking you when you're down because now they're posting something about you and all the passive aggression. I mean, that was the thing. Like, we just didn't have a way to embarrass people outside of the
No.
playground shouting.
We talk about it all the time, and I've always said it, like, Monday's the new Friday.
Correct.
So when we were growing up, if something was happening, it all came to a head by Friday at 3
Yep.
o'clock.
Then you didn't see them for 2
We didn't
days.
see them, and we had like everybody was cool
Unless you
out.
were out
Now
on your
Monday,
bikes.
and then like the problem is everyone wants to blame the schools and the teachers. It's
There's
happening in
only
your
so
house.
much they can do.
It's happening in your house. It's know what your get on social media and see what your child is writing, see what is being written to them. Like become a real. I mean, I've seen it, and so when I've seen it firsthand.
And another thing we've talked about, like, I'm not getting involved in some of the minutia of kids' relationships. So
No.
I don't want teachers to do that either. And I remember when Charlotte was going through something where some girls had been mean to her, a teacher came up to me and was like, how is Charlotte doing? That was so sad what she went through. And I was like, you're more worried about it than I am. I'm her
She's
mom.
fine.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was just weird. And I'm like, she's fine. She's in Arizona and she lives halfway across the country now.
Right.
So I'm really not worried about it. I mean, at this point, it was like this happened when she was a senior. So I like run into this teacher and it was just, so then it was kind of weird to me because I thought like, how are you so like in the know
Right.
that you're like
The-
up in like teenagers' business?
The one thing that's interesting, it's like, whether it's happening in like grade school, middle school, the whole thing. And like, we know like if it carries on into high school, if there's any kind of that behavior and then life post high school. So whether it's college or the real world, all I sit and laugh is like this, try to do that in college.
Well, yeah.
Try to do that in the real world.
Correct. Because it's true. Like we all know this, right? You're in such a bubble that when you leave and then you come back for that first time to your high school, you're like, this gym is so small. It's that weird feeling because your world at this point is so big because it's all you know. Then when you step out of it, it shrinks. And then you realize like this is one high school in one town when there are, I think what's the latest number? When there are 8 billion people in the
Yeah,
world,
you are.
8.5
How
billion
many is
people, you're just like a tiny little speck.
Okay, this is I glanced
So
at the Tara
I
phone,
have
and
something-
immediately I am unwell.
I have something to share that reminds everybody that we Gen Xers are survivors, born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, and you've made it to 2026. You've lived in 5 different decades, 2 centuries, and 2 millenniums, and you are still only in your 50s. Played well. So like we've, yes, spanned a lot of time and a lot of changes. And even though it pales in comparison to our parents, we have a very unique experience because we were not digital natives, but we came of age and with the internet and the inception of the way that the world was changed by the World Wide Web, we were early adopters because we were in the end of high school or college when that was emerging. And so what they're claiming now, and I've told you, if you can hear my dog, sorry, I don't know what they're barking at. If you know, and we talked about this, the distinction between digital natives and people like us is our kids were born with tablets in their hand. They were born as natives to the digital world. So the twist has been that people like us, we are more adaptable to technological changes because we had such a contrast from our childhood to the upheaval of when the internet became so prolific.
Listen, and it was the fall of 1995, and I had an intro to computer class at Slippery Rock University in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. Okay. And I will never forget the professor saying, I'm going to give you what's called an electronic mail address. He said, pretty soon you will get no mail in your mailbox. Everything will come electronically. And I said to the person sitting next to me, that's never going to last. Because I was like, the concept of like, there's going to be no mail. Everything's going to come electronically.
You can't
but
it
was funny. Like, you have to understand, like, please don't mess with us. We survived dial-up and the floppy disks.
Oh my gosh.
When you would
ALO,
save, if you didn't save it, and remember like at the disk, and there was something that happened. And so the whole entire paper was gone. I mean, and we had to go to the library to use
microfiche.
It
is a
and
nightmare.
the Dewey Decimal.
It's
Dewey,
insane.
Do you know the worst part about our generation was this? The bibliographies.
Yes. And today kids are so lazy that they don't even spell check. We were looking words up in Webster's dictionary.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have automatic spell check. So we
Yeah.
used typewriters, and then when we got into the computers,
Typewriters that
we
went like
had
this.
the big printer, and it would print. Remember, with the paper with the
Oh,
edges
gosh.
that you pulled off.
And then, well, that's how our prompters used to be.
Yes.
Our
right.
teleprompters we had to feed it, and then it had to hit those
And
little
then-
circles
and
on
then
the
if
edge.
there was a buckle in the paper, one word
Oh my gosh.
would be like magnified, and as you're reading
Horrible.
the news, it'd be like and let me look
Yeah.
down at my paper script.
We literally are like Gen X.
We're dinosaurs.
We are the toughest generation. Like, and I will say this, and I've said this multiple times before. And like my kids were like, okay, you're the toughest generation. And I'm like, listen, when the Challenger, like, listen, they wheeled the television in on the cart
Dramatic.
to watch the Challenger because we were like, Krista McAuliffe, she's the teacher, she's on the Challenger. And we all sat there like this watching. The Challenger exploded. The teacher went, okay, let's get back to math.
Yeah.
And then they
No,
and then
no
it was it.
discussion. No, I mean, it's crazy.
No one
And
checked on us.
Shout out to Sunnyside, Washington. That is the home of Krista McAuliffe, and that's where I was a news anchor out in the Yakima Valley for years. And so, I mean, when you think back about how that is so etched in our memory, when I then years later was an anchor out there, I remember I always thought of her because I would see that sign
Yes.
and they would say home of Krista McAuliffe. And it just reminded me of how we never forgot her, because she was supposed to be the everyman who
Yes.
made it to space.
So if she's on there, we can get on there. I mean, like there were
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
I can tell you vividly about Gen X, and that was one.
yes,
Baby Jessica falling in the well.
yes,
I mean, how we were all
remember that?
captivated, and we're like, and then I was like afraid to walk near a well. But there's other things that we had crazy fears about.
Mhm.
Gen X had a crazy fear about quicksand. Do you remember that? Like, I was always worried, like, oh, what
Well,
if I fall in
don't you remember Pitfall?
Yeah, yes.
So like
that's
the game
true.
Pitfall, we saw that little crappy animatronic man, who we thought was really advanced in terms of the graphics back then in the Atari 2600s. We saw him like falling to his death.
I
in the
mean,
pit.
we had our
Also,
all of
the
our
Goonies got,
windows.
they got, what do you call it? They got the leeches on them from the
The
quicksand.
leeches were worried about the leeches. Yeah, we were worried about we were worried about things that like never were gonna happen. But like we had the doors. I mean, everybody sat in a car, in their grandma's car, like the big old Lincoln with the door that was heavier.
Oh, it would mangle you if you got your arm stuck.
And then
We would lie in the back window when we were cold. Like we would
Yeah.
be up in the back
Right.
window to heat us up.
Well,
And then had we been in a wreck, we would have been like catapulted through the windshield.
Well, you know what? Like our kid, like you never. I mean, it's funny. Like I was talking to my kids the other day. We were talking about like I was like, well, there used to be ashtrays in everyone's car, and then like the cigarette lighter, and like my kids were like, what? I'm
Isn't
like,
that it is so
there was a
weird. And
cigarette,
how
you
we
could
had
push
to,
it.
like and on a hot day, it was so hard to roll the window up. I mean, the strength that it took to roll those windows up and
Yeah,
down.
it
And
was
then
the
it was so
greatest.
the metal would burn your hands. So, I mean, you get in the leather seat,
and then you had
your
to,
legs.
you got in like a car like
Yeah.
this, you're like,
You got to put the towels down, you burn your legs, and then you're like,
That was the best.
I can't roll it up. I can't roll it.
That was absolutely what a time to be alive. Yeah, Gen X, we are very
we
tough.
had some great memories, and we were definitely the rub dirt on it, you'll be fine generation. So I mean, we laugh. I think back to all the times when you had like the traumatic injuries, like the girl who a bone was sticking out of her leg when she was playing soccer. Like, I'll never forget it. I saw on the playground the bone,
Oh, yeah.
and then I got hit an adjacent practice field. Our best hitter, Nikki, who's now a judge in Illinois, she hit a line drive from an adjacent field. I'm shagging balls for the pitcher out on blacktop. Everyone screams my name, 7th grade. Look up, Tara, Tara. And there comes a line drive, breaks my nose, and I have a small hump on my nose to show for it. And the best part, my dad comes rolling up in his Plymouth that we called Old Blue to pick me up. And I get in the car and he goes, you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then takes me to the ER where I have to get surgery, and I had to have a cast shaped like a T on my face for 2 weeks.
But I'm telling you, the way we were raised by our baby boomer parents, right? And that's the one thing, like the takeaway was just, it is never as bad as you're making it out.
No.
You can survive. You're a survivor. We were made to be resilient.
Yeah.
And it was so like, that's why my dad was very, very, I'm not joking when I tell you my dad was like this. He was like, listen, if someone's messing, my dad always told me, he was like, people get one chance to be disrespectful to you. He was like, and then you pop them in the mouth. And he was talking both literally and metaphorically, right? And so then he would be real calm. And I will never forget, this is my dad one day. He was sitting there and he had this drink and he was going like this. And he was like, and I said, what do I do? He was like, you count to 10, swing on 3. Dead serious. Like swing on 3. And I was like this. Okay. And I am the wrong person to tell that to because I will take it very, very literally. My dad told me to swing on 3. So it's so funny. So, I mean, like there have been many times and I would say this, I'd be like, I'm gonna count to 10. I'm swinging on 3. And then people are like, is she for real? Like, can you imagine?
The Sicilian in you.
Yeah, like
out.
I will just like
This is so funny. Amy Shannon said, I remember having to touch a metal plate on the back of a computer before turning it. Turning it on. We could de-electrify ourselves. Now that's trauma. That is so funny you said that because I had the same thing. There was some issue where my computer wasn't working back in the day. And this engineer had put down this like metal plate and he was like, you need to ground yourself before you turn. I mean, and people back then, we did any weird trick to get technology to work because we were used to everything being like, jerry rigged to work. Like you think of all the ways that people would like, keep things going with duct tape. Duct tape was like the fix all for my dad. Well, like he could bring out the duct tape and fix anything.
Well, because we watched MacGyver.
Oh my gosh.
MacGyver would take a cucumber, some Scotch tape, and like a paper clip, and he's moving your car. Right, yeah. Like
it's so funny. And so now the difference between our parents and then how we were raised and our kids today, if something is broken, dilapidated, run down, it's trash. Just toss it out.
We're trying to save it.
Right. There's no like salvaging anything. And so a good lesson that we've kind of evolved to that I just experienced, we had a big neighborhood garage sale over Friday and Saturday. And it was wonderful with my husband being retired while I was working Friday. He could run the sale for me. So Facebook Marketplace has ruined garage sales because now if you have like an expensive item, no one's going to pay any, they want peanuts on the dollar because if it's that nice, well, you could just sell it on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. So the other thing that's hilarious is how my husband said this, and it's so true. Like you could have something that's like $10, right? And it's we had a printer that I think we probably paid easily like $200 for, and we were selling it for $10. And it was older, but it was a brand new color printer and it's wireless. So you can send pictures to it from your phone. So it's new enough that it has like wireless connectivity. And it was so funny. He said on Friday, this lady was like, would you take 8? And then my husband said, no, my wife actually said, don't come down.
$8?
Don't come down on some of the prices because we're going to have the sale again on Saturday. And then maybe we could, talk about some bargains then or coming down. And so then they were like, oh no, that's just too much. So they like walk away. And then I'm laughing because I don't know that person's situation, but I'm laughing thinking about how, then you will literally drive to the gas station. And in the case of my son's F-150, it cost over $80
I don't want to talk
to
about
fill
that.
up the tank. And so I'm sure that printer was out of the question.
I don't even want to talk. My neighborhood had garage sales. I don't participate in garage sales. I came out to get into my car and there were people in my garage, like looking at our stuff. And I was like, yeah, this isn't our garage sale. And then like, now I'm like people now and they're like, oh,
so funny.
Amanda Goodman. And I'm like, this is why I don't.
Well, I will say there were some really kind people who came and then they were like, how are you doing? I saw Amanda share about your crash. So there were so it was a very public facing weekend for me because Saturday we had this garage sale where I talked to a ton of people. And then yesterday, my son and I were greeters for all 3 services at church. And I saw hundreds of people and they were so nice. People were like, how are you doing?
That's so nice.
Follow Amanda. And I saw that you were hurt. So yeah. So I just wanted to thank you again for like asking people to pray for me because it meant a lot to hear people say, yeah, we prayed for you when you went through that. And at that time I felt that like, it was just like that emotional support. So that we like to say as much as there is negative that befalls us from social media, that is the one great use of social media is you can harness it for good. And so my friend Trisha, she said, I didn't even know you and Amanda were doing that morning show, but because you guys talked about Ledger, some of the family had shared it, and she said that's how she saw that.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was kind of cool.
That's great.
That it reached like a new audience. You know?
And here's the thing, like this morning show, the group chat that we're doing, this comes off the podcast. We started
Mhm.
a podcast, you know, before podcasts were a thing. We stopped doing it because it was kind of, you know, everyone's doing it.
Yeah, the podcast
so-
was so crazy though, because when you said you wanted to do it and I was kind of averse to it, then I was so glad I did, because it was like a cathartic process where we just talked through all the things that had happened up to that point in our
Right,
lives. And
and-
this was in 2020.
2019, we started
Yeah,
like
that's right.
2019, and then
And
we
then
did
went
a
through
live.
the COVID during COVID.
We
went
did that
live.
Facebook Live.
That was so
And
fun.
then it was crazy. So it's interesting because the way the algorithm is set up. So if you're watching this right now, it'll say like right now there are like X amount of people watching. Well, that's because it's done through this one platform. We go back and we see the analytics from the week and how many people have watched. It's interesting, and it's just this is what we do. This is who we are, right? Sitting and connecting with people and going through. But I have to tell you something. So I was approached by a couple people over the weekend who read our book. They haven't been to the show yet. And now because of the book, they want to go to our show.
Good.
So the book, the original, the one that put best-selling authors behind our name, is sharing our experience and what led to, you know, yada, yada. So they were like, I assume so many things
Mhm.
that happened with you. And then I read that book and now I'm so angry that you went through that. And they're like, I'm really sorry that you went through that. And I had no idea you were going through that.
Well, it's so eye-opening because everything about television is smoke and mirrors, and that includes the news. And so when you see as we like to say, like that, you know, peek behind the curtain, and you really get a good grasp on how things really were, it does make you watch TV and digest the content differently.
Oh, completely.
Because it's like once you've seen it, you can't unsee. Oh, it just glitched right there. Somebody's trying to shut down our signal.
I was just talking
Shut
about this
these broads
platform.
off.
We tired.
Shawley commented. She said, "I'm out going to sales for little people and out."
Oh, the little people things like the
Oh
Wiggle
yeah,
Wobble
yeah,
types.
yeah. And she said she was one of the people who went to my sale and said, "Oh, I know that voice." Yeah, when I was talking, then somebody said, "I recognize that voice," so it must have been her. But yeah, thanks
great.
for coming to
Shirley's
the sale. We didn't do badly. I didn't have a ton of stuff and I didn't have a lot of big stuff. So I think over 2 days of having tons of stuff priced at $0.25 and nothing, it was all $0.25 or 50 cents. And then only like a few, you know, dollars here and there with some nicer clothes. But we ended up making about $800.
Holy
So I thought that
moly.
was pretty good.
That's
Because, you know, if you go to the thrift stores, they cap you at like the $500 deduction. So when I donate everything, then it's nice that what I had left would probably be comparable to about, you know, $500. But then I was like, okay, I'm glad that I didn't just leave $800 worth and
On
not
the
get any
table.
value out of
On
it.
the
Yeah,
table.
that was kind
Yeah.
of nice. So the other thing too that's going on right now is the school day. It's a weird time because you have some schools going later because they're doing tacked on snow days at the end. And then right now, Waterloo is going through this change where they're going to add 5 minutes to their day. And then next year have 5 fewer school days for the teachers. So it was so funny. My husband being a former teacher, I was talking to my friend Trev, she's a teacher. And she said those 5 days will mean more than anything because at this point in the year, the kids are like bouncing off the walls. And then if you're in high school, the seniors leave and they're done. And then all the kids that are in classes where seniors were mixed in with the underclassmen, then a lot of times it's like there's no learning going on. It's like a
Mhm.
wash
The
because
shutout.
you've lost the seniors. So these teachers were saying, like we've been saying for years, you got to end school earlier because the last 5 days, it's just movies and play day and field days. And so a lot of parents are like not wanting it to end, but I think a lot of teachers are like, cut these school years short. So it sounds like if all goes as planned next year, the last day for Waterloo schools will be May 21st. And that's like the earliest they've ever been out, I
That's
think,
most-
in the history of the district.
And that's crazy. And it's interesting. It's 7:59. They're most small school districts around. That's
That's when they
standard.
get
That's
out.
when
Okay,
they
but I think you guys start earlier because we don't start until August 26th. And
No,
I think
we're
we
around that.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay,
we're around that.
okay.
But the difference is that some school districts have a lot of teacher in-person days and something.
Yes.
Like for instance, our school district,
Versus
they have early
out.
out every
Got ya,
Wednesday, and
got
so
ya.
there's never any, which I love because then you don't, especially parents with little kids, don't have to worry about babysitters and another Friday they're off, another Monday they're
Yeah,
off, and
that's true.
I do like that. It is 7:59. Can you believe it? Monday, May 18th. We're starting the week off. We hope you have a great week. 4-letter word of the day is stay. When someone's having a tough time, the last thing they need is you walking out of their life. Get down, be their valley friend, stay with them, see them through that.
That's a good one. I like
Thank
that.
you.
The verse is coming from 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. Instead, you must worship Christ as Lord of your life. And if someone asks about your hope as a believer, always be ready to explain it. And I love that verse because as much as you might be a private person, you should be able to find times or opportunities where your faith might lead a conversation or be woven into it. And then if you don't know what to say, just drop off a
Jesus.
little Jesus figurine, and that will be your way of saying, I care, and someone's watching you.
And live it, right? Live it. Live
Yes,
it.
don't drop off.
Don't
a
live
Jesus
it this if
figurine
you
when
are at
you're-
home being a
when
heifer.
you're putting the hammer down. Putting the hammer down on somebody. Have a great Monday. We'll see you Wednesday.
Thank you for watching the group chat. The show is brought to you by the empowering staff at Urology Center of Iowa, Tenoyer Gardens, Azalea Lane Boutique, and Splendor the Medical Spa.